In the world of One Piece, there exists a balance so fragile that even the slightest shift could plunge the entire world into chaos. The current 4 Yonkos, Marines, Holy Knights, and the Gorosei all help maintain the balance of powers in the Grand Line. But what if the current 4 Yonkos with their entire crew declared war on the entire world government? So starting off, I'm also going to be adding the Revolutionary Army with the Yonkos, considering the Yonkos and their crew would not stand a chance against the Gorosei, Holy Knights, and the 3 admirals combined. The first and the highest authority of the entire world government is given to Imu, who's a hidden king of the world. And then comes the 5 Gorosei, who hold the second highest authority in the entire world government with some of the best conquerors Haki was seen. Then obviously we have the Holy Knights, who work right under the celestial dragons like Shamrock. Then following up, we have the former Fleet Admiral and the current Commander-in-Chief, who's Kong. And at last we have Fleet Admiral Akainu with 3 admirals that includes Fujitora, Green Bull, and Kizaru. So in this entire war between the world government and the Yonkos, the most anticipated matchup is Akainu versus Kuzan 2. So in their last fight, Akainu and Kuzan did fight for about 10 days, and Kuzan lost his leg with his dream of becoming the Fleet Admiral. And ultimately it's very clear that Akainu will win this fight considering he has better Haki, AP, and durability. Also, there's something that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's the difference between magma and ice. The difference here is that Akainu's magma is able to melt anything it touches like Whitebeard's face and chest, where on the other end, Kuzan's ice requires him to freeze the opponent first and then break the ice. So even though both ice and magma do cancel each other out, magma still emits a lot more damage, especially considering the fact that it melts through your entire body. And on top of that, Akainu's a Fleet Admiral and has been portrayed to have a far greater will than any Marine, which may indicate that he does have Conqueror's Haki. So yeah, I got Akainu winning between high to extreme diff. And then we'll likely have Luffy versus Kizaru round 2. So this is a fairly relative matchup as we saw in the Egghead arc, but I have Kizaru winning this. To back it up, Kizaru had a mental nerf in the entire Egghead arc, and he also DoorDash food for Luffy so Luffy could continue fighting Saturn and Kizaru again. But this time it's going to be very different considering Kizaru would just use a light beam at Luffy to finish off the entire fight. Alright, so the next fight we will be seeing is Zoro and Sanji versus Fujitora. So this fight would actually be very close as Zoro has Conqueror's Haki and great AP, but let's not forget the fact that Zoro had trouble fighting someone like Rob Lucci, and Sanji's biggest feat so far was stopping an attack from Kizaru. Personally, I believe that Zoro and Sanji can put up a very close fight and possibly even draw, but I still believe that it's not going to be enough for Fujitora. The reason is because Fujitora can throw meteors at you and terraform the entire island to his advantage. Also, these admirals often get nerfed as their devil fruit abilities are actually insane. So Fujitora himself can casually drop meteors around, and that's going to force Zoro to cut down the meteor and get distracted. And if it's one-on-one, Sanji does not stand a chance against Fujitora. So I actually have Fujitora winning around high diff. And the last fight against the admirals would be Green Bull versus Ben Beckman. So as of right now, we do not have much ideas on Beckman's true power, but it's been stated that he's comparable to Shanks. See, I'm not arguing with the statement here, but you can technically compare any top tier against any top tier. For example, an old Garp would put up a very close fight against Shanks, Kuzan, Mihawk, and even Akainu. Anyways, Beckman's biggest feat so far was putting Kizaru at a gunpoint, but no one talks about the fact that Kizaru went on to attack Luffy despite being at a gunpoint. So if they were to be relative, Beckman would have stopped Kizaru from attacking Luffy like Rayleigh did back in Sabaody Archipelago. And Green Bull would probably be the worst matchup for Beckman considering he can keep regenerating even if he gets shot by Haki-coated bullets. Plus Green Bull can also terraform the entire terrain to his advantage and pop out of anywhere. And I think it's going to be somewhere around a middle high diff fight. So yes, the admirals certainly have an advantage over them. So even if someone like Luffy beats Kizaru, it wouldn't matter because he's going to gas out fighting Green Bull or Fujitora. And in the meantime, we're going to have 2 Yonkos and 1 commander fighting the 5 Gorosei. So the first fight is going to be Mihawk against Nashuro. So both Hawkeye and Nashuro are primarily swordsmen, but I see Mihawk winning this one with high diff, not extreme diff, as he's the strongest swordsman with better portrayal and feats. It's still not going to be a mid diff fight considering Nashuro possibly has over 800 years of fighting experience with strong Haki and immortality. And Nashuro has also shown more impressive feats than the rest of the Gorosei, like blissing through all the pacifista and using ice. Well anyways, I have Mihawk winning this fight. And moving on to the next fight, it's going to be between Shanks and his dad Garling. I definitely believe that Shanks is going to win this fight, but it's going to be fairly close. The reason is because Garling is a former commander-in-chief for the Holy Knights and was also granted immortality by Imu and replaced with Saturn, indicating he's a lot more useful. And the fact that he's immortal makes it very hard for Shanks to damage him. But still, I believe that Shanks is going to be winning this fight around high diff. Then we'll probably have Blackbeard fighting Saint Mars and Warcury at the same time. I definitely believe that Blackbeard can take down any Gorosei in a one-on-one battle, but fighting the second one would be a pain. Also, Warcury does stand out against the rest of the Gorosei as his Haki alone shook the entire island. But still, defeating 2 Gorosei at the same time is simply not easy. So yes, I actually have the 2 Gorosei winning around mid-diff. So now we're gonna have Valkyrie and Sane Mars with a healthy Jupiter who hasn't fought at all against Shanks and Mihawk. So even if Hawkeye and Shanks end up taking down 2 Gorosei, they're still gonna end up losing to Jupiter. And yes, the rest of the Yonko commanders are gonna be busy fighting Kobe, Helmeppo, Smoker, and worst of all Sengoku, who can still fight at a very high level. So yes, the Yonkos, even with their entire crew that includes Yonko level commanders, would not make it out against the admirals and the Gorosei combined. Alright, so before we move on to the Holy Knights versus the Revolutionary Army, we also have Imu who can turn any Yonko into a demon and make them fight against Dragon, Law, or Kid. Anyway, so the first matchup between the Holy Knights and the Revolutionary Army is going to start off with Shamrock versus Dragon. As for Haki, there's a very high possibility that both Shamrock and Dragon possess Conqueror's Haki because of their unique bloodline and their will. But I still say that Shamrock does exceed Dragon in terms of Conqueror's Haki, as is portrayed to be on par with Shanks, and Shanks' Haki was directly compared to Joy Boy. But at the same time, there's like a 99% chance that Dragon does have a fruit that's related to wind. So overall, I believe that it's an extreme death fight between the commander of the Holy Knights versus the commander of the Revolution Army. Then we have Sabo versus Gunko. So in this fight, I personally believe that Gunko will put up a decent fight, but I still have Sabo winning around low to mid diff, considering she looks irrelevant. Also, Sabo is Luffy's brother and is bound to be very strong. The only thing Sabo has to watch out for against Gunko is their speed and regeneration. As of right now, we do not know much about their powers, but there's a very good chance that the Revolutionary Army will probably win considering they're going to have Sabo helping them. But it could go either way considering that the Holy Knights definitely look stronger individually. So yes, in conclusion, even if all the Yonkos or the Revolutionary Army with some allies like Marco, Law, and Kid pulled up, they would not stand a chance against the world government. Mind you, I did not even bring up Imu for the most part, who tanked an attack from Garp, Kaido, Roger, and Big Mom at the same time and had no effect on her. I'm definitely not being biased, and by the way, it seems Imu alone destroys all the Yonkos together and you can leave Kuzan, Mihawk, or Beckman to the admirals. And you might not even need the admirals considering Roxy Zebek himself was like double Pirate King level. And the worst part about the entire thing is that if Imu ends up turning Shanks or Mihawk into a demon, they're gonna switch up. Plus the Marines also have a former fleet admiral and the commander-in-chief just sitting around. So even if someone like Loki joins up with the Straw Hats, he's probably gonna get smoked by Kong.